My name is Amina. I was 18 years old when my life changed. The events in this story began on March 12, 2012. That was the day my family told me I had been chosen to become the third wife of a Saudi prince. They explained it as a blessing, but my heart felt like it was being carried away from my body. That same week, I was taken from my home, dressed for a future I did not understand, and sent into a world where my worth would be tested by one thing alone. I am a young woman from a quiet village, raised to obey, respect elders, and fear dishonor. My identity was shaped by tradition, not choice. I came from a poor but respected family. My father was a small trader, and my mother sold food in the local market. They taught me that a woman's strength was silence and endurance. I attended basic school, enough to read and write, but my education ended early because my place was believed to be in marriage, not dreams. My way of life was simple and strict. I woke early, helped my mother, fetched water, cooked meals, and prayed as I was taught. I never spoke loudly. I never questioned decisions made for me. When the marriage was arranged, my parents told me it was for the good of the family. They showed me the gifts, the promises, and the respect that would come. But no one asked how I felt. When I entered the palace, my persecution began quietly. At first, it was not chains or beating. It was loneliness, control, and constant watching. I was told where to walk, when to speak, when to sleep. My body no longer belonged to me. My value became tied to my ability to produce a child. Each month that passed without pregnancy brought cold looks, whispers, and shame placed on my head like a heavy cloth. I was reminded daily that I was replaceable. The servants treated me with distance. The other wives saw me as weak. I was given rules instead of care, silence instead of love. I felt pain without bruises, suffering without sound. I learned early that in that place, a woman without a child was already standing close to rejection. This is how my story began, not with freedom, but with expectation, pressure, and fear. And this was only the beginning of the persecution that would later break my body, test my faith, and lead me to a place where only divine mercy could find me. I thought entering the palace meant safety, but what waited for me inside was a slow kind of pain that does not scream, yet never stops hurting. Every step I took forward was watched, measured, and judged, and I soon learned that silence could still be punished. Life in the palace looked beautiful from the outside, but inside it felt like a cage made of gold. I remember my first morning there clearly. I woke up on a wide bed surrounded by soft pillows, yet my chest felt tight. Servants came and out, guiding me from room to room. They showed me how to dress, how to walk, and how to lower my eyes. They told me what time to eat and when to wait. I was never alone, yet I was always lonely. I quickly understood my role. I was not there to be known or loved. I was there to produce a child. Each day carried pressure. Each night carried fear. I watched the calendar closely, hoping my body would change, hoping I would be accepted. When nothing happened, the air around me grew colder. The persecution began with small cruelty. Meals came late for me, smiles disappeared. I noticed how servants avoided my eyes. The other wives walked past me as if I was invisible. When gatherings happened, I was placed far away. I felt my worth shrinking day by day. No one beat me, but neglect became its own form of punishment. Doctors were brought to examine me. They touched my body without kindness. They studied me like an object. Later, I was told that something was wrong with me. I was made to feel broken. Shame was placed on my shoulders, even though I had done nothing wrong. From that moment, my days became heavy.
I was no longer treated as a wife, but as a problem. I was kept inside my room for long hours. Sometimes the doors were locked. I was not allowed to step outside freely. I was watched closely, as if my sadness itself was a crime. I cried quietly into my pillow at night so no one would hear me. My tears soaked the sheets, but no one came. The worst persecution was emotional rejection. I was reminded in many ways that my place was not secure. I was shown how easily I could be replaced. Gifts stopped coming, visits became rare. I felt like I was slowly disappearing while still alive. I remember one evening clearly. I sat alone near a window, watching the lights of the palace shine, while my heart felt dark. I placed my hand on my stomach and felt only emptiness. In that moment, I realized that in that house, love had conditions and mercy had limits. By the end of that season, I was already marked. A woman without a child had no protection. My fear grew daily because I sensed that something worse was coming. The palace that once looked like a dream was turning into the place where my dignity would be taken from me. And this was still not the deepest part of my suffering. The next step of persecution would not only take my title, but would strip away my freedom itself. I did not know a human life could be traded like an object until the day I was prepared to be given away. What I feared quietly inside the palace finally stood in front of me, and it had no mercy in its eyes. The change came suddenly, but the signs had been there for a long time. One morning, servants entered my room earlier than usual. They avoided my face. They began to pack my clothes without care. I was confused and shaking. Later, I was taken through long hallways I had never walked before. No one explained gently. I was only shown what to do and where to stand. I was told that I no longer had a place in the palace. They revealed to me that because I could not bear a child, I had lost my value. My title as a wife was taken away like it never existed. In that moment, my heart broke in a way I cannot fully describe. I felt shame, fear, and deep pain all at once. Soon after, I was moved out of the palace quietly, as if my life there had been a mistake that needed to be erased. I was taken to another place, far from luxury, far from comfort. There, I learned the truth. I was sold as a slave. The persecution became physical and complete. My days were filled with hard labor. I cleaned floors until my hands cracked and bled. I carried heavy loads even when my body was weak. I was given little food and less rest. When I slowed down, I was pushed. When I cried, I was ignored. I was treated as less than human. I lost my name in that place. People called me only to command me. I slept on cold floors. My body ached constantly. My heart felt empty. At night, I lay awake, listening to others breathe, wondering if anyone in the world still remembered that I existed. The worst pain was not hunger or tiredness, it was hopelessness. I felt forgotten by people and abandoned by life. I asked myself what crime I had committed to deserve such suffering. My only fault was a body that did not work the way others wanted. Sometimes I remembered my childhood, my mother's hands, and the simple life I once lived. Those memories hurt more than the labor. They reminded me of what had been stolen from me. I felt like my future had been buried while I was still breathing. Yet, in the deepest part of my suffering, something strange began to happen. In the silence of my pain, I felt a presence I could not see. I felt comfort without touch. I felt strength rise when I should have collapsed. I did not understand it yet, but a seed of hope was being planted. I was broken, yes. I was enslaved, yes. But I was not finished. And this was the moment when my story, buried under pain and persecution, was about to meet a light strong enough to reach even a place like this. I reached a place where my body was alive, but my soul felt buried, and that was when the light found me in the darkest corner of my suffering. What was meant to end me became the road that saved me, and what broke my chains did not come from human hands. My days as a slave followed the same painful pattern. I woke before the sun, my body already tired. I worked until my hands shook. I was watched closely and corrected harshly. When I made mistakes, punishment followed. Sometimes it was extra work. Sometimes it was denial of food. Sometimes it was silence that made me feel invisible. My body carried wounds that no one treated, and my heart carried pain no one saw. One night, after a long day of labor, I collapsed on the floor. I felt weak and empty. I thought my life would end there, unnoticed. That night, something changed. I met a woman who worked near me. She noticed my pain and showed me kindness without fear. She shared food with me secretly. She looked at me like I still mattered. Over time, she revealed to me a story about Jesus, a man who loved the rejected and lifted the broken. She showed me compassion through her actions. She explained that he suffered persecution, pain, and rejection too, yet he chose love instead of hate. I listened quietly. I did not argue. My heart was too tired to resist hope. In the days that followed, I felt strength growing inside me, even though my situation did not change right away. When I was beaten down by exhaustion, I felt peace instead of fear. When I was insulted, I felt dignity return to my heart. I realized that even though my body was still enslaved, my spirit was becoming free. My persecution grew worse when others noticed the change in me. They saw that I no longer broke easily. They treated me harder. They increased my work. They tried to crush the calm they could not understand. But inside me, something was stronger than their cruelty. I learned that suffering could not destroy a soul held by God. One day, help came in an unexpected way. A visitor noticed my condition and asked questions. Over time, my situation changed. I was removed from that place and given care. My body healed slowly, but my heart had already been restored. I was no longer the discarded wife. I was no longer the forgotten slave. I was a woman saved by grace. Jesus did not erase my scars, but he gave them meaning. My pain became my testimony. My persecution became my proof that love is stronger than chains. To Christians across the world, I ask you to pray for those who are persecuted for their faith. Many suffer in silence, beaten, rejected, imprisoned, and forgotten because they chose to believe. Let your prayers be a covering for them, and let your compassion speak where voices are taken away. If you are reading this and you desire to turn away from sin and give your life to Jesus, you can do so now. In your heart, acknowledge that you need him. Confess that you believe he is the Son of God, that he died and rose again to save you. Ask him to forgive your sins, cleanse your heart, and lead your life from this day forward. Choose to follow him with faith and obedience. No matter where you are, no matter how broken you feel, freedom is possible. I am living proof that even in the deepest persecution, Jesus still saves.